myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you.
Good evening again, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. Monday night, and it is normal service resumed, ladies' night, and joined by Lily, Alicia, Holly, Sav, and just coming in now, Kendall. So good evening,
hello,
ladies.
sorry,
How are you doing? It's all right. You okay? Everybody all right? Yeah, all good. Right, let's start off with yesterday's game, Lily. Disappointing. I don't think anybody seriously expected us to go to Old Trafford and win. I think people were just expecting a little bit of effort and a little bit of determination, like we had seen in some of the previous games, but it wasn't to be seen really. First hour, I think Newcastle, they were in the game, but it always had that feel of inevitability to me that eventually we were going to succumb to, a defeat. What was your take on it?
Well, I had said earlier on Twitter that settle for a point because we always know it's difficult, excuse me, when we go there. I'd say luckily I didn't get to see the match again because I got called in to help a friend out at their shop. But somebody told me that it was already 1-0 up and he just looked at my face and went, "Are you surprised?" And I just kind of went, "Does this look like a surprise face to you? Honestly, no." I was a bit disgusted with the because Dominic showed me and he talked about it today on Ref Watch what Maguire did. I'm sorry, but how did that not get anything? I don't know. I think we knew we weren't going to get anything, but Bruce's face at the end says it all. That smile on his face. Why?
Yeah,
we're not smiling. Why are you smiling? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, look, people can say I'm mischievous, but I did take that photograph and stick it straight onto Twitter. As I watched him come off, I was disappointed myself. Another defeat, Fulham's result. Everything's going against us at the moment, and Steve Bruce doesn't really seem to grasp the fact that we are teetering on the verge of relegation. He just thinks we'll be all right, But that photograph, look. I get what some people are saying, you could have taken a photograph of any other time going down the touchline and he wasn't smiling, but the point is he should be media savvy. He should have enough common sense to know that despite there being no fans in the ground, everybody is watching him for his reaction. And as you just quite rightly pointed out, laughing and joking with somebody from, your former club as we've just lost 3-1, it's just not acceptable, is it really?
No, not at all. Not at all. And wasn't Nicky Butt you could actually see with his head down behind him? Was it on that? Was it?
Yeah, it is. Nicky Butt, yeah.
That just shows you. I mean, all right, Nicky played for Man U as well, but look at the difference between the two people. It's just beggars belief. The man beggars belief. What is he doing? But he's still got a job.
Yeah, he's still got a job. Alicia, I'm probably not the only Newcastle fan who flicked Sky Sports on today in the hope that I would see the yellow ticker tape announcing Steve Bruce had left. But unfortunately, it hasn't happened. He lives to fight another day. But let's get your take on the match first and foremost. I know you'll have been covering it on your channel.
Yeah, and again, another week where I wish I didn't. And I knew exactly what was going to happen before I even sat down and turned the telly on this week. And that's the bit that's getting me down with this football club at the minute. It's not because I'm not expecting us to go and beat Man United by any stretch of the imagination or Chelsea. I'm not saying that, but I know I'm not going to see any effort. And that's just what I want to see. I want to see them up for it and going for it. And yet again, the only person that actually looked bothered, I keep saying his name every week, Miggy Almiron. I don't know what they fed him before the game, but he was running all game again, actually trying to get into it, get things done. But I just don't see anybody stand up for this team yet again. It felt like Chelsea first half all over again. And surprisingly, Joe Linton actually surprised me out of nowhere there. I don't know if it's because I'm never used to him actually doing anything, but creating a fair few chances in the first half, getting involved. We need to see more of that. We should have been seeing more of that for ages, but the performance as a whole is still not good enough. I don't know why we set up without a recognised striker, because Joe Linton wasn't really in that striker role either. I don't know what's going on. And to go back to the Steve Bruce thing, smiling when he's walking off, he clocked the camera halfway through that, realised what he'd done. So he knows he shouldn't be doing it. And it's so frustrating because if there was fans at that stadium, it would be completely different. And that's the frustrating thing that gets me with Steve Bruce.
Okay. Kendall, what was your take on yesterday's game?
Look, it was no surprise. My problem with yesterday was like up until again 50, 60 minutes, we actually looked like we were going to get something out of the game, and that's what frustrated me. That after that point, we just sat back, defeatist again, sat deep, allowed them to run at us. I mean, Jamal Lewis, the poor lad, I feel for him, but he was getting absolutely hounded. He was defensive awareness was awful. Again, I keep saying this every single week. Emil Kraft was getting nutmegged all over the shop. I was like, oh my God, here we go. It was just awful. Carl Darlow had an absolute stinker yesterday, like so bad. Getting beat at your near post, not once, but twice for, a keeper that has really stepped up and showed us what he can do was just... I don't understand why Dubravka isn't back in by now. He is our best keeper. And yes, Carl Darlow has came and he has shown what he can do and he's been deserving of his spot. And I personally feel maybe about 3 games ago, it was time to bring Dubravka back. After, he had the cup game at Arsenal, I really thought he would be back in. But he isn't and he hasn't been. But it really is now time to get him back in. I think Lewis needs a rest. I think Dummett should be back in there. We haven't really got any option for Kraft at the moment unless we play Jacob Murphy at right back, which isn't a great option because Manquillo's injured. Yet again, another idiotic decision, letting your other fit right back go in Yedlin, who, by the way, did anyone see the pass that he gave yesterday for the goal?
Yeah.
That they scored? Unbelievable. Could we be doing with some of that right now? Yes, we could. So yeah, amazing, great news. John Joe Shelby, passenger again, absolute ghost. He is finished for me. He will be nowhere near that squad if it was up to me, really. Honestly and truthfully, I would have both long staffs over him. At a push, I'd probably even have Hendrick over him, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Because unless Andy Carroll's there, he just provides no real goal threat to me because the aerial balls that he's given, where there's just no point, there's no one on the end of them. And that's all he really has in his locker. He's not, he's not a runner. He doesn't hold the ball like, say, Joe Willock would, for example. He's not a box-to-box midfielder. I just don't really know what he gives to that team now that we could use because it's nothing, in my opinion. Joe Linton, to be fair to him, I thought he had probably one of the better games I've seen him, if I'm honest. I didn't think he was as atrocious yesterday as he normally is. Not to say he was good by any means, but he was actually running and he was at least trying to intercept for at least 30 minutes in the first half. I wouldn't have chosen him as my starting, striker, if you will, but we don't really have much option and clearly Bruce isn't a fan of Dwight Gale, so that's fair enough. And then when he went off, funnily enough, we actually got worse. And I was like, I really was so surprised. I couldn't believe it. Obviously, given the penalty away was a bit stupid in my opinion. Joe Willock's reaction said it all to me. He wasn't even bothered that he gave it away. He just went I've given it away. He wasn't even defending it or so. When you kind of you don't want to give a penalty when you're no, to the referee, but he didn't even do that. He just kind of was like, oh well, I've done that now. So just again, the past 2 games we've played them up until the 60th minute and let it go again. Last time up to the 80th minute, and then it was 4-1 again. So we were just lucky it wasn't that sort of situation again. But I guess we didn't expect anything less, I suppose.
No, we didn't. Holly, you watched it on Matchday Live with us yesterday. Obviously, you had internet issues, so you got off beforehand. But it wasn't the greatest of second halves, and I was scratching my head again. I put something out on Twitter at half time saying I wonder what Steve Bruce will say at half time to drag the team down. And boy, was I right. That half time team talk, whatever he says, just seems to take all the energy out of his team.
Yeah, I seen that tweet after the game and I was like, wow, that's quite ironic because, normally he's saying that we improved in the second half, but it was the opposite this week where it had a better first half and then a poor second half. I wish for once we could just have a full 90 minutes where we played well. It was really refreshing to see how we played in the first half, because I thought we would have already been about 1 or 2-0 down, like in the first 20 minutes or so. But we played well, and I thought maybe with some luck we could get a point or something, or even if we just got beat by 1-0, I could take it, because obviously, like, we were trying, but then we got to that second half and it was just like Chelsea all over again. They looked like they didn't care, couldn't be bothered, like didn't have any type of awareness that we're in a relegation battle yet again, and it's just a lack of care yet again from all of the players. I thought Darlow was really, really poor. I would definitely be dropping him and bringing Dubravka back into the lineup. I said, like Kendall, that I would have brought him in a few weeks ago, but now I think it's definitely the right time, because he's proved that he doesn't deserve to keep his place anymore. And then at right back and left back with Kraft and Jamal Lewis, yet again, just so poor. It's hard because we have got all the injury problems, but I don't want to see them playing. As soon as Manquillo comes back, I'd be rushing him straight back into that starting lineup. And then Joe Linton, I was dreading it when I seen him in the starting 11, but then he actually impressed us, because I thought he had a decent game by his standards anyway. And the subs were bizarre from Bruce again, but it was just the way he reacted after the game that was the worst part of the game for me, with him laughing and smiling. And even he did like an interview after the game and he was still like smirking on then, and I just thought, I don't know what there is funny about getting beat 3-1, sitting 17th and being 3 points off the bottom three. Like, there's nothing funny about that. He's literally about to take his boyhood club down and he just doesn't care. It's disgraceful.
Fair play. Should have been on the 5-minute rant, Holly. Good stuff. Sav, coming to you now. Just your view on yesterday's game.
Yeah, it was the same old miserable turn up, really, weren't it? Do you know? And that's what I found really, annoying, is that I thought for the first 60 minutes we actually looked really good, and then it was sort of like we went when we was at 1-1, once it went 2-1, that was it for us, really. It was like we just gave up. And I thought that Joelinton had improved, or where he was playing him was suiting him. I thought it was a shame that he got that injury, but that seems to be an injury that seems to have cropped up for quite a while with him grabbing hold of his side like that. Miggy and St Max, I thought, were really good, making runs. Someone said to me yesterday that they thought that ASM was really poor yesterday, but apart from his goal, and I didn't see that. I actually thought he made some quite good runs yesterday. John Joe Shelby, right? I used to be on the fence about him. Can someone just take him aside and point to him where the goal is? Because he sends those balls sky high. Like, I think it's still coming down from yesterday. Like, what the hell was that? I actually laughed when I saw it, because it was so funny for someone who's supposed to be a professional footballer to nerf a ball so far over the goal. And Darlow as well. Darlow, I feel sorry for him. I feel that since Dubravka's been back on the bench, that the strain has shown on him, and he just hasn't had the same sort of work rate as what he was having prior to that. I think because he was sort of, the number 2 goalkeeper whilst Dubravka was away, he was actually performing really well, but he's slipping for me, and I think that Dubravka needs to bring him back in now. It was pointed out to Steve Bruce actually in the interview, and so I'm hoping that sticks with him and he makes that change.
Okay, Ryan Singh's a Manchester United fan. He says, as a Man United fan, I thought you played better football than us up until the Dan James goal. Yeah, look, there's no doubt Newcastle were in the game for that first hour, Ryan. I think you're right. But the problem is we're at the bottom of the table, and we're 3 points above the relegation zone now, due to the fact that the previous games have been absolutely abysmal. It's not good, not a good position to be in. But you're right, Ryan, and appreciate you coming on and saying that. Billy Ace is asking where's Sam and Katie. Hope they're okay. Both of them are fine. Both just having a bit of time off, mate. Every now and then, the situation gets to you. Personal things, get in the way as well. So they're both having a bit of time off, but they're both well. Had a good bit message with Sam today. She's fine, and I'm sure they'll both be back at some point on the show and ready to give you their opinion on Newcastle United. Martin, a regular member of the panel, the worldwide panel, he sent this across by WhatsApp today. And I find this quite interesting, actually. This is the Premier League since Christmas Day. No surprise, and this is the only downside. If I can take this banner off, you might be able to see that. There we go. Newcastle's bottom of the table. Goals per match, 0.8. Goals against per match, 1.8. Points per match, 0.6. That doesn't make good reading, Lily, really, does it?
No, that is shockingly bad. It really is awful. I mean, says it all, really, don't it?
It does. Well, there's Fulham. Fulham are directly behind us. They're 15th in that table. Sheffield United are above us and West Brom are above us. So the three teams that are below us are all playing a lot better than we are. Burnley, of course, they're up in 11th place in that table. Even Southampton, everybody above us in that table. But that's quite a worrying thing. And I know it's only since Christmas Day, but that tells you at this moment in time where we're headed, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it just shows that we just seem to have, I don't know, just given up. And like you said, everybody that is technically below us on that, they've upped their game, whereas we just seem to just don't play, for want of a better description. It's awful, and something does need to be done, because let's face it, we can't keep having performances like that, because we will end up going down again. And this time, I don't think if that was to happen, I don't think we'd bounce back up again. Not like we have done in the past. No chance. Not how we are, the mindset, how players are. It just looks like, I'm ashamed to say this, it just looks like a sinking ship, and it is well and truly heading down, well and truly, which is awful to say, but that's how I feel at the minute.
No, that's fair enough, Lily. Yeah, Alicia, what do you make of that table? No surprise, really, is it?
Not at all. I'm not surprised by that. Just pointing out as well, Brighton on there, actually, look at how high up they are. Even though they're just a point above us, they look like they could keep continuing a run and pull away as well. I don't see how we're going to get out of the situation that we're in. I'm not seeing anything that's going to edge us to getting points. I don't know where the goals are coming from. We've been saying this for weeks. Wilson's not going to be back for months. I can't see how we're getting out of this situation. I feel there's no motivation anymore in the team, from the management. It perked up a little bit when Graham Jones came in, but I don't see how we're going to get out of this situation. Like, Fulham look like they're on the up. A couple of pundits have changed their mind about Newcastle in the past couple of weeks. The ones that were defending Steve Bruce come hell or high water have changed their mind.
Trevor Sinclair.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of months ago, he wasn't saying that.
Yeah.
But I can just see Fulham doing something here, and I don't know what Scott Parker's managed to do, but he's pulled it out of nowhere, and, it's down to 3 points. And, it was only a couple of weeks ago Steve Bruce was going, it's fine, we're 10 points away, we'll be fine. Well, yeah, look at the situation we're in now, and we also could see that it was going to happen.
Yeah, okay. Kendall, it's an interesting table, that. I mean, one of the strugglers on there is, of course, the team from Anfield who only last year won the league and the year before won the Champions League. They're down in 16th place.
Yeah, on the game, when I was watching it the other day, they said if Liverpool's form since Christmas Day would leave them 1 point above the relegation zone. So which is just crazy, just goes to show the league this year is just wild. You can't even predict a result. Well, I mean, to be fair, you can predict ours, but most of the time you can't predict a result. But anybody else, any other manager, well, apart from Chris Wilder, because I know they've let him go and they've let him just continue. I think second season syndrome's hit them massively. Obviously overachieved last season, but anybody else would be sacked by now. They would have been sacked weeks ago. We've lost 12 in 18 games. That's not acceptable. It's sackable. And why is he not being Why is he not gone? How are we not learning? Well, not us. We have obviously learned. How is Mike Ashley not learning from the mistakes that he made twice previously? Exactly the same thing happened. Didn't sack McLaren till March. We were already down at that point, basically. Even Rafa Benitez, the man who's won every single domestic cup possible, he couldn't even save us. Like, what is the point in leaving a manager till mid-March, meaning you don't have a transfer window to utilise? You have serious issues getting out of the sort of situation that you're in at that point in the season, because you're midway through the second half of the season. Results matter. No matter how you play, it doesn't matter. Results matter. It gets harder and harder to get out of the place that you're in. It gets harder and harder to get out of the relegation zone. Everybody else is stepping up because nobody else wants to be relegated. So the teams around you are all outperforming you. How has he not learned from that? The thing is, he probably has. But obviously, as an article came out today and he said that he's quite happy with Steve Bruce. They're going to stick with him until the end of the season because Newcastle United is low on Mike Ashley's priority list right now. But
yeah,
that's not good enough. Like, if you're a businessman, every single business you own should be prioritised. Every single one. Especially the one that probably will make you the most money if you run it correctly. And will get you the most positivity out of it if you run it correctly. Yet again, he doesn't care. He's not a football person, doesn't care about the fans, doesn't care about the club. And until that absolute parasite is out of this club is literally dying before our eyes. And that might seem dramatic, but everything that we love about that club is getting torn apart. It's been getting torn apart since 2006, and it is not getting any better. 3 relegations in 11 years is unacceptable for a club of Newcastle United stature. Absolutely unacceptable. And with the squad that we've got at this current time, there's no reason why that squad should be where it is. Every single person I've spoke to, Man United fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, Everton fans, have said that squad is worthy of at least 10th place. And in my opinion, I agree. I completely agree. I said 10 to 12 at the beginning of the season. Where are we?
Yeah.
3 points above relegation. It's unacceptable. It's a disgrace. I'm ashamed now.
Oh, you've got your guest. Is she coming on to say something? Good evening. Hello. Can you see us? Oh, there we are. We've seen the hand. Good stuff. Kendall often gets our co-presenter on with us, so it's good to see. Holly, that league table doesn't make great reading, does it?
Not at all. That just proves why we are in a relegation battle. Like, that table that you've just shown of our recent form just literally stinks of relegation. Like, the worst form in the league since Christmas. And then Bruce still sits there and has the arrogance to say that we'll be fine and there's no need to worry and that he's seeing positives. It's just deluded. There's no positives to see. I don't know what he's watching. I've joked before saying I think he's sitting watching Champions League on his phone in the dugout or something instead of watching the game on the pitch, because the way he's going on, he's acting like we're playing like Barcelona. I don't know what he's seeing. It's absolutely mental. And if we were to go down, I wouldn't be annoyed at the fact that we actually went down. I would be more annoyed because we haven't tried to prevent us going down. We're just willingly walking into the relegation zone. We're not trying to prevent it. The players aren't stepping up. The manager couldn't care less. And the board aren't doing anything about it. And even if we weren't to sack Bruce in the upcoming weeks, it'll be too late by then for me. I think we're already gone. Like, it's too early to say whether or not we'll go down, but it's certainly looking that way. And after this game, I was really, really nervous because we've got some more easy fixtures on paper coming up. And, like, that adds a lot of pressure because if we don't win them games, then that just proves that we're down. And if I'm being honest, I can't see us winning them games. And there's no reason why we should be in this position because on paper, this squad is a lot better than the one that we had when we finished 10th with Rafa Benitez in our first season back after we went down. And yet we're sitting in 17th. Like, we could easily be between 9th and 12th place, I think, with that team. But none of them seem to care. Jamal Lascelles and any player for that matter on the pitch aren't stepping up and saying you need to sort it out. It's just like, oh, we're going down, so be it. But this is a massive, massive point in the history of our football club now, because it can go one way or the other. We can either stay up by some luck and then we'll get a takeover and progress on to better things, or we'll just stick with Bruce, go down, and we'll rot in the Championship, because there's no way we will bounce straight back up this time. We were lucky to do it the past 2 times, but this time, that's it for me. And I couldn't bear to see Newcastle do that, because the club is far too big to even be worrying about this position. But the Premier League has to take a lot of blame for that as well, not just Mike Ashley, because if they'd have allowed the sale to go through last summer, we wouldn't have to be sitting having this conversation now, because Ashley and Bruce wouldn't be here and we wouldn't have these worries. So it's kind of hard, because I can understand Mike Ashley doesn't care anymore because he doesn't want the club. But at the end of the day, if he does want to ever make a profit and sell this club, he needs to protect his investment now while he can, because there's no way he'll be getting the big money sums like 350 million when we're in the Championship. It's just unrealistic. But yeah, that's what he'll want, so he'll probably be stuck with us forever. So he needs to sort it out now while he has the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Sav, yeah, that league table, it's no surprise. Life Goals are saying, can he play devil's advocate? Just say how many of you believe would get points versus Man United and Chelsea away. As the Man U fan on Matchday Live said, the time to sack him was Sheffield United, not Man United. But yeah, I mean, look, I think you've got a point, Life Goals. I mean, I don't think anybody expected, us to come away with maximum points from either of those games. We'd be happy with a draw. But yeah, that league table's concerning, Sav.
Yeah, it is. And actually, on the saying that I didn't expect us to get points, I bet both times on us to win. I get really delusional just pre-match. I go through this, we're going to swipe a lucky one here. And I did put bets on because I did think that we might be able to, but even a draw would have been nice. I don't think it's, it's the fact that we've lost away to Chelsea and Man United. It's the build up to it. Because when our form dropped, we lost some just because we just didn't turn up, and the players were all looking unhappy and there was zero motivation going on then. And it's an accumulation. This isn't just because we've lost the last 2 games away to, the top 6 teams. It's because of what was going on before, when we were dropping points all over the place because we were just putting in abysmal performances. Not even a performance. It was shocking to watch. And now it's come to this, where we've dropped points again. And as Holly said, I completely agree. We've got some fixtures coming up that should be easier. And it's got to a point where we've got to grab points from that, or we are a sinking ship and we are going down. We've got to get points from those games. And unfortunately, you just sort of sit and think, can we do it? I'm not convinced anymore. Last week I was saying I'm not going to start panicking. But, if Steve Bruce wants mass hysteria, I think he's going to get some if this carries on.
Yeah, I think you'll get some mass hysteria. I mean, obviously, the roadmap to returning to St James's Park and football in general. If everything goes according to Boris's plan, we could all be maybe at the last 2 games, Sheffield United and Fulham. We'll have to wait and see. I don't believe that's going to happen, but if everything went according to plan, certainly it would be interesting. And if Bruce was still there, he would get a reception. That takes us to the next question then, Lily. I mean, look, if the worst happens on Saturday and we get beat against Wolves, is Mike Ashley going to sack him? Do you think he's going to sack him?
No.
No?
I honestly don't think he will. No. He should, but I don't think he will. Like everybody else has said, any other manager would have been gone by now. Why is he still there? Why is he still being given his chances? If we do lose on Saturday, I don't know. I don't think he'll be going anywhere anytime soon, honestly. I really don't.
Okay, Alicia, what's your take? Do you think Mike will pull the trigger if we lose against Wolves?
I don't think so. I think it would cost him too much money to do so. And we know he's reluctant to spend money to start with. He's not going to pull out millions to sack somebody. It's bad enough trying to get somebody in. Never mind getting rid of somebody. I'm paying them to get rid of them as well. I just can't see him sacking him. I just can't see it happening. It's happened too many times before. And even if he does, who's going to come in? Are they realistically going to save us if we're in that predicament? Then probably not, because again, it's happened a couple of times before. We know the story. There's a script there for it, and I don't think he's going to sack him now.
Okay, what about you, Holly? Do you think Mike Ashley will pull the trigger? I mean, some people in the chat there saying essentially that, maybe he's got until the West Brom game. I mean, the next two games are crucial. West Brom and Wolves, two winnable games, really. Is he going to sack him?
No matter what happens, I think he'll still be here. If Mike Ashley and co haven't learnt their lesson by now, they never will learn it. So regardless of how bad we are, how many games we lose, I think Bruce will still be here. And if he does take us down, I can see him staying out the rest of his contract and staying next season. Because in Mike Ashley's mind, he'll be thinking, he's an experienced championship manager. So hopefully he can bring us back up out of the championship, which we all know probably won't happen. But that's kind of the way Mike Ashley works, because he doesn't know anything about football or Newcastle or anything else. And like you say, even if we did sack him, it's going to be so hard to get someone in that could do a better job. Because, there's people out there, but they wouldn't want to come to Newcastle, especially at the minute. It's so toxic. There's nothing but negativity on all fronts. And, so we're just going to be stuck with them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sav, are you the same?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see him going. I think it's a shame that fans aren't in the stadium, because I think it would be a totally different story. That's why I'm not convinced that he'll stay on massively long term, because I think once fans come back, he's just going to get hounded. I don't envy him at all. But I can't see him going anytime in the future. But to be fair, every day I do check. I was like, going on Sky to have a look, see if he was gone yet. I'm just hoping for a bit of good news today. But I think, obviously he's still standing firm. And Mike Ashley, they said, I've read something today where Mike Ashley, they said because it's not one of his priority businesses, he's just not even looking at it at the moment. So I think that's just everything that you need to know, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Kendall, just asking really, do you think if we get beat against Wolves, Mike Ashley's going to have a decision to make?
No, because as he said several times now since November that he's probably going to stick with him till the end of the season. So, I don't think it's really bothered it. I don't think it really bothers him, everything that's happening. We've seen it before where he's been completely uninterested in what happens to us. He's not really bothered about relegation. He kind of has it in his mind that we'll just come straight back up anywhere. And I don't think we would this time. We would lose half of the squad. Never mind half the start 11, we would lose half of the squad. The championship is a lot more competitive since the last time we were in it. Teams like Brentford, play a lot nicer football than we do, than several of the other Premier League clubs do. I don't think he's going anywhere, if I'm honest. I don't think Mike Ashley's wanting to part with any more money that he doesn't really see necessary. I think it's a really, really dangerous game. I think we can speak for everyone, just tired of it, tired of the same thing happening over and over again, same routine, same, not changing it early enough. But I just do not think he's going anywhere at all. I really don't.
Okay, big thank you to our sponsor, Spider VPN, who are sponsoring the StreamYard application this month. Also, a big thank you to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, and Jab Signature, who make all of our flyers and promotional material. Great boxing gear, hoodies, tracksuits, etc. from John and the lads. And if you're a third-time visitor to the channel, please subscribe. Click the little box in the bottom right-hand corner. Give the programs a share, and make sure you stick the thumb up, give it a like, and that does help us with everything that we do. Helps build the community. An extra 100 subscribers this week, so big thank you for all your support. Don't forget as well, Alan Shearer's raffle is coming to an end, so please check on Alan's Twitter account and click on the link for his Givergy page, and £10 a ticket to win, have a chance of winning his match shirt, boots and captain's armband, all signed from his 250th goal. Cracking prize, one-off prize, and all proceeds, of course, going to the Alan Shearer Foundation. We have talked a little bit about the, essentially about the pundits, Lily, and I'm trying to get this Spider VPN off. It's a bit extra publicity for them. Just talking a little bit about the pundits, and I did flick that up, the stuff that Trevor Sinclair's come out with, and he says it seems like the loyal fans who know what is going on at their football club have got it right, and not sure who saw or if any of you saw the 5-minute rant programme that we did between 6 and 7. But one of the guys who came on, Connor, had actually inboxed Jermaine Jenis today and contacted him on Instagram and just basically took him, held him to account in a polite way just about, what he's been saying on television. And he got a reply back from Jenis, who inboxed him and more or less said, Newcastle are where they should be, in 17th place. He said, you haven't got enough players to compete. And that was his reply, Lily. What do you make about that? And what do you make about the turn from a lot of these pundits who've now seemed to come round to our way of thinking?
I think it's quite funny how they all call us deluded all the time, and Bruce is this and Bruce is that and Bruce is whatever. But then slowly but surely they kind of go, well, no, actually you are making sense, and actually no, I can understand why you're making the noise. Ever since JJ left, I've always had a bit of an issue with him because he was heard to say nasty stuff anyway once he'd left the club as a player. So he's always going to have a bit of it's not even a love-hate relationship for our club, it's a hate-hate relationship. That's how it comes across. He always seems to be quite rude and nasty with regards to his time at the club. So he's always going to be, and I think somebody said Jake Humphries even called him up on it last night when they were talking about it. It just goes to show when somebody like Jake Humphries can say, hang on a minute, no, I don't think you're right there. It's strange. But like the other day when Gary Neville mentioned about the club not coming out together, the pundits are picking up on it. We're not a club, we're not a unit. And the fact that they're now picking up on it speaks volumes because, as far as they were concerned, the sun did shine out of Steve Bruce's bottom and, he could do no wrong. So the fact that they're now thinking, well, hang on a minute, it does look like he's lost the plot a little bit. It just goes to show that people are standing up and noticing that we're not just making noise for the fun of it. It is a real concern we've got, and maybe we are right to express our concerns. So that's it. It's lost everybody now.
No, you're right, Lily. You're right, Alicia. It's nice to see the worm has turned within the media. It's taken some time, mind.
Yeah, I'm surprised a few of them start turning. Just on the thing of Jermaine Jenis, I don't understand his problem with us. I've actually seen the thing on about on the telly live last night, and he came across quite arrogant towards it. He was being a bit funny to Jake Humphrey himself, actually. I thought it was a bit unfair the way he was talking to him as kind of a co-presenter. You wouldn't talk to somebody like that. And the one about where Newcastle currently are, and he went, well, if we stay up and, at the end of the day, there'll be a Premier League team next year, and that's all that's what on paper, that's what they are. They're staying up. And then kind of Jake Humphrey went back at him with something, and he went, but you would have been happy with that. And he went, yeah, but my team's Norwich, not Newcastle United. And I think Jake Humphrey 100% gets it. And I'm so glad there's somebody like Jake Humphrey that understands this club and understands where we should be. And even Scholes was there as well, and he could understand. Neville's been standing up for it. The tide's starting to turn. People understand what this club was 15, 20 years ago. And the demise of it since Ashley took over has just swept under, and we're heading towards another relegation. And I'm happy the pundits are starting to turn and are starting to take notice of what we can see. There was somebody on TalkSport as well, I can't remember who it was, earlier on today, who actually changed his mind because he said Fulham were done, and has actually changed his mind and said Fulham are staying up and Newcastle are going to go down. So I think people are starting to pick up for it, but Steve Bruce is still adamant that he is right and we're completely fine.
Yeah, he's definitely on a mission to persuade himself, if not us. The media, Kendall, we've talked a little bit about them in the past on the show, but usually to criticise them because they don't know what they're talking about. But finally, with Newcastle, teetering on the relegation positions, they've finally come around to our way of thinking.
Yeah, it's getting further and further. Obviously, the big turnaround was with Jamie Carragher a few weeks ago, and he kind of came onto our side a little bit, which was good because he's got such a big platform. And, in terms of Jermaine Jenis yesterday, what a tit is the only word I can describe him as. Literally, And Jake Humphrey, thank God for Jake Humphrey, because every single day I see, not day, but every single time he is, he's doing the punditry on a Newcastle game, he absolutely goes in at anyone who says Bruce isn't the problem. He always backs the fans. He completely understands the club as a whole and the fan base as a whole. And he made Jermaine Genius yesterday, look like the uninformed tit is that he is, to be honest. And I was like, go on, Jake. Like, I literally loved it. And then Jermaine Genius's whole comeback was, well, I've seen improvements in their recent performances, but the fans have a personal agenda against Steve Bruce. I was like, are you actually joking? Like, are you literally kidding us? How is it a personal agenda? It's literally what we're seeing right before our eyes, how bad it is. It's not a personal agenda. It's not because we don't like Steve Bruce. It doesn't matter whether you like him or not. People don't like Sam Allardyce, but they'll still say, he gets out of relegation. But he doesn't do anything. There's no positives. It's getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on. And then all Jermaine Genius could think about yesterday was, well, we played Champions League football. It's like, who cares what you did? You have bloody Bobby Robson as your manager, not Steve Bruce. And then he sits there and he says, I've seen improvements in the last 5 games, and then tells someone in their inbox that we deserve to be where we are. Well, where's the improvement? Like, if we're getting further and down, if we've got improvements in the last 5 games, how come we're getting further down the table? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. People just say what they want to fit the narrative at the time. And it's always, woe is me, Steve Bruce is the victim. Like, even he plays on it himself. Steve Bruce thinks he's the victim. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, we're the only ones who physically have been seeing this since the start of his tenure. I don't know if someone brought it up the other day or when you saw it when it was brought up on Twitter, but someone quote tweeted the tweet of when Steve Bruce was announced as a manager, and literally every single comment underneath is like, well, great, that's us getting relegated, great. Just complete negativity. We've seen it from the absolute start. Like, what is going to happen, and everything is happening what we said we would. So, funnily enough, the fans know better again, but will always be berated in the media because that's just what other people love to do.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Holly, what's your take on this? Then the media often, have a pop at Newcastle fans. We're accused of paranoia. I think I've said many a time that, a lot of these media outlets simply, do this and simply comment on Newcastle in a derogatory way because it gets us clicking. It gets us on, their various links. It's how these places and how these companies make their money.
I completely agree with that. I don't think that it is paranoia. I think it is true that the media do tend to be more harsh on the Newcastle fan base as opposed to a lot of other fan bases, probably because they get a lot of bites from us, which I wish we didn't do, because I can understand, because when someone's being unfair and slagging off your club or what you're saying about your club, when you know you're right, you want to defend that. But if we didn't, then it would I feel like kind of shut them up a bit because I'm sick of hearing it. I try not to listen to them because it just winds us up now. And then, especially when you have ex-players like Jermaine Genius last night saying stuff like that, it's just like, how could you do that? I don't know, honestly. He's saying he's seen us improve. I think he's been doing the same thing as Bruce and watching a different game, because there's nothing improving in this team right now. Like, if you can see some improvements, please inform us what you're seeing, because I don't know what they're seeing. But just constantly, I don't know what it is about Newcastle, saying we expect too much. I don't know how we expect too much. We don't expect to be where we are now. Why should we be sitting in 17th? Like, it's just stupid. If we were expecting that, then what would be the point in supporting this club anymore? Because that's just no ambition whatsoever. And it's so much worse when it comes from ex-players. And I do really respect Jake Humphrey because he always sticks up for us and things like that. And it's always nice to see that. And I was surprised that the media started to come more on our side and see things how they really are, because I thought it was just going to be constantly sticking up for Bruce because he seems to have a lot of friends within the media. But now that they can see the reality that he's literally just taking us down and he doesn't care about it, they need to start speaking up about it more, because it's not fair, and they would do it for any other club but Newcastle. So we should get a fair chance to have our opinions shown in the media as well.
Okay, Sab, what's your take on the media's about turn?
Yeah, I think it was going to have to happen. You know, we've had shocking form, and it was going to have to happen at some time. They can't still sit there saying, "Oh, Steve Bruce is doing an amazing job, and all the fans are wrong," when we're sat 1 point, 3 points above the relegation zone. Jermaine Jenas last night, he made me laugh because he said that our players weren't good enough to be anywhere above 17th, and then in the next breath, he said, "But they got some great players in during the summer." Callum Wilson. And I thought, well, what is it then? So those great players, are they still like 17th position in the Premier League players? What are you trying to say? He came across as a real spoilt brat who'd been scorned in some way and was just not going to let Jake Humphries, try and make him look like bitter. But in actual fact, what he did by doing that was just make himself look bitter. So I think it's all these people with sort of personal agendas and things like that, and Steve Bruce's friends. Oh, it makes me sick sometimes the way they harp on about it. But yeah, I'm glad that actually some people are starting to see it. And Jake Humphries is a great voice actually, because every time I watch him or I see him tweet something, he gets it. He understands what us as Newcastle fans are going through, and he's prepared to be that voice of reason over people like Jermaine Jenas, who will stand there and literally take us apart. And that's actually really nice to see.
Yeah, I would agree. It's Jake Humphries has been very, very positive about Newcastle, and it's good to see somebody with a bit of balance, and it's good to see a few of these other ones finally screwing the loaf on and seeing it from other people's points of view. So, obviously, got two big games coming up, Lily. Already, we've got Wolves and West Brom. How do you see them going? And I'm going to ask you all the question. Do you think Newcastle, has got enough to stay up this season?
It's one of those arguments between my head and my heart. I want to say, yeah, we can do it. But by the last few games and the form we've shown in the last few games, I think it is going to be really hard. Like everybody says, the players just don't have the passion anymore. They don't seem to have the ambition. They just literally go out, kick a ball, and that's it. And, I'd love that we could stay up. That would be brilliant. But if we keep going the way we're going, then I've got the awful feeling that, no, I think we are heading for the drop, and it's a great shame, but we need to start thinking realistically, and unfortunately that is the way it is looking at the moment. I hope I'm wrong, and it isn't. We are going to stay up, but now I think honestly it is going to be very close to going down, if not down.
Okay, Alicia, what's your take on it then? Obviously those two big games coming up with over the next couple of weeks, but do you see Newcastle staying up this season?
I want to say yes. I really do, because I can't be done with another season in the Championship when we go back in August. I can't be watching that. But I just don't see any other option. I think Fulham are going to really start battling. They can see us going the other way. They can say, hold on, Newcastle are on the ropes here. There's a lot of things going on around the club. We can really go for this and turn this around. So I think that's going to be on their mind. Wolves, I don't think we're going to get anything from. A draw, if we're lucky. West Brom, I would hope and pray that we could get at least a point. But it's Sam Allardyce. It's a Sam Allardyce team. We're a perfect team for him to play at this moment in time. You would hate to see them beat us, but would it surprise me? No. I'm hoping we'll get 3 points at least. I'm hoping we'll beat West Brom, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we did get beat.
Okay, Kendall, are you positive about Newcastle's Premier League future?
No. As I've said before, we've got the squad to stay up. We just haven't got the mentality or the manager to stay up, which we've been saying for months now. Last season it doesn't look too bad in terms of, where we finished and considering how we played, and we had some really, really bad results after, post lockdown. And this year it's just gradually getting worse and worse. Teams like Fulham, I think there was a stat on their game, and the last 14 games they've had 9 draws and we've had 9 losses. That's the problem. They're grinding out draws in games where they need a point, and we're not doing that. we're like subject to defeats pretty much most of the time. So that's where the difference is going to be. We obviously play them last game of the season. I am absolutely dreading it. I sincerely hope it does not come down to the wire, because I honestly don't think I can handle that. I'll be to take away me. But we have the performances in us, as we've shown against Southampton, as we showed against Everton. We've got, I mean, even the first 60 minutes of the game yesterday was fine. Like, it was good. We played well. We've got in our locker a player like that. We just need to do it for 90 minutes, and we need to attack the game for 90 minutes instead of 60 minutes in having a defeatist attitude and sitting back again. Obviously, injuries are rife at the moment in the worst time of the season, where we really, really need everybody fit and well and playing. But I'm really, really not positive at the moment. I want to be, and I'm trying to be, considering we are still currently not in the relegation zone. But, you know, we're one loss and Fulham's one win away from being above us. So, yeah, it's not looking good, but I am trying, despite what I sound like tonight, but I am trying to be a little bit positive, hopefully. But yeah, it's not looking too good, I don't think.
David Reid, I really am concerned about you, mate. You spent most of the night last night asking Holly if she would go out for dinner with you, even though you wanted her to pay. I've been watching your comments. I haven't put them all on screen. You've asked everyone on the panel now, except me, to take you out for dinner. And you're saying you're a cheap date and you like to have... it's going to be a happy meal. Well, I'm not sure what you're hoping to achieve, David, but I wish you all the best with it. But I've got to say, a couple of the girls are attached, mate. So I think you're wasting your time. Holly, give us your take on whether Newcastle can stay up this season.
For me, no. Like everyone else, I want to believe that we can, and I hope that we can with everything, because I think it'll be a complete disaster if we were to go down. Like I said, for me, there'd be no chance we'd come straight back up, and we could spend a long time in the Championship. I think we could potentially do like a Leeds or something like that, because I can't see we'd lose a lot of players, because a lot of the players we currently have that are the ones that keep the squad in the Premier League. Well, they have been doing it for the past few seasons anyway. They'd be all gone, and he wouldn't spend the money to reinvest to get players that would be good enough to get us promoted. So I think we could just sit in the Championship for years, and it'd be horrible to see. It's not that I don't think we have the ability to stay up, because I think the players that we do have are good enough to stay up, and you see glimpses like the first 60 minutes of that Man United game where you think, yeah, we'll be able to do it, but it's just the mentality that's the issue, and that probably stems down to Bruce, because Bruce is constantly saying to them, oh, there's no need to panic, we're fine, when in reality it's not, and they need Bruce to see it how it is, to give them that motivation to try and keep us up. Because if your boss is constantly saying everything's going to be okay, well, you'd just believe them, wouldn't you? And he's lying to their face. So it's just the mentality, and that's the reason why we would go down if we did, because they're just not trying to stay up, and they're not putting the effort in. And then I would have to put full responsibility on him, because he's the one that's installing that mentality into the team. And that's as well why I think that if we were to replace him with someone else, it wouldn't be as easy as, oh, we'll start getting a few results and stay up, because I think the mentality is something that would take a long time to fix within that team, because you can see how damaged and fractured it is, and it's not like an easy fix thing. It would take a long time.
Yeah, that's the big concern, isn't it, really? If we go down, a lot of people predicting we could essentially do what Sunderland did, and that's go down and, of course, not come back, Holly.
Yeah, that's something that I think is a real possibility. I try not to think about it, because it actually scares to think about that, because I couldn't bear to watch that happen to Newcastle. It's just... It seems dramatic, but I honestly said I'd rather not have a club than have a club rotting in League One and stuff like that, because like there'll be no way back for me. And I know someone's just got to take over, and that could happen for us, but it would be a very lucky thing to happen. I doubt it would. It's just not what Newcastle has ever been and should ever be. We should be definitely in the top half of the Premier League all the time, and if there's a chance we could go to the bottom leagues, I don't honestly know how many fans would have left in that ground, because certainly for me it'd be really hard to stay supporting them. I would try, obviously, because I wouldn't give up, but it would be hard.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sav, it's a big issue. We're talking about that again on the 5-minute rant about fans not going back. But give us your take on whether you think Newcastle can stay up this season. Will they or won't they?
Do you know, I think we've just got ourselves into a really tight situation because, like I said before, we've dropped so many points where we shouldn't have just because we turned up with dire performances. And now we've got to a point where we can't afford to drop points anywhere. The more losses we have now, the more likely we are going down. And it's actually it's not nice to see because, this season we've seen the players look absolutely flat, play some awful style of football, if you can call it a style of football. And, unfortunately, Steve Bruce should have been raising morale. I think something's gone on behind the scenes. I really do. I think there's something fishy with the Longstaff situation that's going on. I think, there's a lot more than what we know that's going on at the moment. And unfortunately, if attitude doesn't improve, I think we're in serious trouble. I'd like to think that we could stay up. And I'd be really happy if we stayed up. But I don't know. I don't know if he's got time to grind out a few results now because Fulham are on the up and they can see us slipping and they're after us. And we just seem to be stagnant, just in the same place, just staying there, not even looking like we're slightly panicked about it. So I hope we do, but I'm not convinced now. I said last week, I was thinking everyone started panicking. I was like, no, I'm not panicked yet. And then the weekend happened. Yeah, I suppose can't really expect us to take any points away at Man United, but it's just yet another game without any points, and you just see Fulham just eking closer and closer. And next weekend we could be in the relegation zone. It's a realistic situation. It's quite sad really, considering actually at the beginning of the season we were being told that we were overreacting because we were sat in 12th and grinding out these horrible performances. And now look where we are. Just exactly what we were saying whilst watching it. It's just happened.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Lily, give us your prediction for the game of the weekend.
I don't know. I'd be happy. I know a win would be brilliant, but just to get a point would be nice because we just don't seem to be even getting those at the moment. So I don't know, a 0-0 draw maybe. I don't want to say 1-0 to Wolves because that looks like I'm defeatist, but I'd settle for a point. That would do me. That would make me happy.
Okay, spot on. Okay, Alicia, what's your view?
Yeah, I'd completely agree. I'd take a draw. I always say where we're going to score goals, but I could go for a 1-1. Either a 1-1 or a 0-0. Nothing any.
Yeah. I think you listen. I think you could be right. I think you're both barking up the right tree. I think it could be a tight game. I can't see it being anything other. Kendall.
Yeah, 1-1 was my prediction as well. Wolves have just completely lost form and they don't really have a goal scorer now, if you will. That's been their struggle as well. So yeah, 1-1 I think.
Okay, Holly.
I'd go with 1-1 as well. I'd definitely be happy taking a point at this stage.
All right, and Sav.
It depends. If we turn up and we play like we did against Manchester United yesterday, I think that, we might be able to score one goal. So I think I'm going to be positive. I think we might either win 1-0 or I'm just going to go with everyone else or 1-1 or 0-0. So I don't think it's going to be a goal fest by far.
Okay, good stuff. As you know, we have always got something up for the food bank on my timeline. That wonderful NUFC Matters cap. Hold on, I have got it. There we go. Specially made.
I thought you were going to reenact the pose then.
Hold on, we'll do.
That's it.
Specially donated by Mark Byers, and it was custom made. It's a snapback, if that means anything to anybody. I'm not a cap wearer. I've got to be honest, it's a pretty good cap, and that really is a cracking little prize. Thank you, Mark. You donated a T-shirt which made £120. I'm pleased to say we are the Mags. Mitch, who was actually, I think, on our 5-minute rant a little bit earlier, he has bid £100 and he has got the winning bid. So well done, mate. He's already paid it to the food bank because he said win or lose the bidding war, he was still going to pay £100 to the food bank, and he's sent us the receipt. He's already paid it. So well done, mate. That cap is yours. If you can inbox us on Twitter I will send that to you, and we will have some new t-shirt or something up for grabs tomorrow night for the food bank. So thank you again for supporting us, everybody. Well done to Mitch, and just drop us an inbox and we'll get that posted off to you girls. Been an absolute pleasure. Let you go off and watch the match tonight, or Coronation Street, or whatever you're watching. And there's Kendall's daughter again. See you later. Take care. Thanks, girls. Bye.
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 Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's